Hi, this is Laura Chappell, and I'm going to go through the steps of the ION DTN Pi Lab. My Pi has already been imaged and updated and upgraded. So we'll go right on to step number 2, downloading ION DTN. First, we have to open a terminal window. Then, follow the instructions to run wget to go and get the actual ION source code. You can just type that line all the way through without even using the backslash that's seen in step number 2. I put in the backslash there in case you were going to cut and paste from the PDF file in. The backslash would make it so that when you paste it in, the return that it takes wouldn't be carried as a return, wouldn't be treated as a return. So you can just type it in all the way as I did here. When you're done downloading it, you simply need to unzip the file. When you unzip that file, that will make a directory for you that contains the ION DTN code. I type in clear a lot because I like to work on a clean screen, and doing an ls-l showed me that the directory was in there. So now we're on to step number 3, which is where we're going to set an environment variable. In this case, we're going to go into Nano, which is a editor, text editor, and we're going to edit the bashrc file. Make sure you go all the way to the bottom here. It needs to be after all of the existing information or lines in there. Everything is case sensitive as well, so make sure that you are using uppercase or lowercase as the lab directions show you. To save, I'm going to do a Control-O to write out, then hit Enter, and then a Control-X to get out of Nano. Now I'm going to execute the bashrc file in the current directory by doing source.bashrc. And now doing print env will print the environment variable information on the screen just so that I can validate that that was set correctly. And here it is. It looks good. Now we're ready to go on to the next step. The next step is step number 4, which is when we're going to install the build dependencies. Again, this is going to be a long line here, so don't hit enter until you've typed in the whole entire list. And I only put that backslash in the lab manual in case you cut and pasted from the PDF file. If you're typing it in, you don't need to type in the backslash at all. Once you get to the end of that line, the last one is make on there, then hit enter. And at that point, all of the build dependencies will be downloaded and installed on your local system. So that will take just a moment here. And then we're ready to go on to the next step when that's done. Step number 5, we're now going to build ION on your system. So the first thing you need to do is change directories. You want to make sure that you go into the ION DTN ION Open Source 4.1.3s directory. First thing we're going to do is we're going to do the /configure, which probably is going to give you an error. And so what we need to do is we need to run auto reconf space -fi, and that will generate the configure script that we need. And once you finish doing that, then you can go ahead and try the /configure again. And that should run just fine now. Just don't forget to run the /configure again after you do that auto reconf. All right, and once this finishes, we're going to go through the longest part of this whole entire process, which is going to be just to type make. Now, this is going to take approximately 10 minutes. And I'm not going to make you sit here and watch this video for the full 10 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and skip ahead in time. Okay, we're getting close to the end of this process here. It's almost done. There we go. Okay, now that we've done that, we'll do a sudo make install next to install it. And I have a note in the lab manual that you might see some errors and some warnings come up, and that's okay. So you see all these warnings showing up with the red text. That's all right. Okay, the last thing that we're going to do after this process completes is we're going to do a sudo ldconfig. So we can see all the lib tools. There we go. Now we'll do our sudo ldconfig. This tells your system where to find all those newly installed software libraries so that it doesn't come back with any sort of a confirmation. Now we're ready to go on to step number 6. We're going to download the lab configuration files, and we've provided bit.ly links for each of these. So I'm changing back into my home directory. So cd space tilde takes you back to your home directory, and that's where you want to be to do this. So now I'm going to do my wget, and that's a dash uppercase O, lnodes.zip. And then in quotes, we're going to put the location of the file. Don't forget your end quote. And when you do that, it'll go get that file. It's a zip file that you'll have on your system now. A little zip file called lnodes.zip. You're going to unzip that file. And when you unzip the file, you will end up with 2 folders in your home directory. lnode1 and lnode2. And those are the folders that we're going to run the tests in as 2 instances of an ION node. So now I'm going to go ahead and close this terminal window and show you how to set up a number of terminal windows quickly. This is a tip that came from Leigh. So first thing is open up a terminal window and go to Edit, Preferences, and then change your display to be the size that you want each one of these terminal windows to be as you move forward, because we're going to make 6 terminal windows. Now I'm using a larger font here, so I just chose a relatively short window size so it can fit. And this allows me to hit that terminal button 6 times and get 6 identical smaller windows to line up. So that'll save me a bit of time. So I'm going to set up 3 windows on the left-hand side and 3 windows on the right-hand side. The top windows are going to be the ones I run ION start in. The middle windows on each side are going to be looking at the log files, and the bottom will be for commands. Now we're ready to go on to step number 8. In step number 8, we're going to run a connectivity test using bping, which is kind of like ICMP's ping, but it's not ICMP. So in the very top window, we're going to do our change directory into the lnode1 directory. All of the items on the left will be changing into the lnode1 folder, and the ones on the right will go to lnode2. We're going to make sure that ION start has the rights to run as an executable, and then we're going to run it with the ./ION start. It looks weird because at the end of it, it says it's stopping all these things. Don't worry. On the right-hand side, I'm going to change into the lnode2 directory, do the same thing, make sure that that can execute, that file can execute, and then I'm going to run ION start. So we have 2 instances running, and it's as if we have 2 different nodes. And we're going to run bping from one node to the other node. So on the left-hand side, in the middle window, I'm going to change to the lnode1 folder, and then I'm going to type in the tail --f space ion.log command. And that will show me the ION log contents as it's updated. I'm going to do the same thing on the right-hand side, but I'm going into the lnode2 folder. And then type in that tail command that you have in your lab document. And then on the bottom left-hand side, I'm going to change into my lnode1 folder, and then type in bping-c1 to send one ping -Q0, which means it starts automatically, doesn't wait, and then I put in my addressing IPN:1.2 to IPN:2.3. And you can see the watch characters up above that Leigh talks about in the class. So that looks good. That worked. Our bping was successful. Now we're ready to go on to step number 9, and we're ready to send bundles. In this case, we have to go to the window that I have labeled as F, change into the directory, the lnode2 directory, and type in bp counter, IPN:2.4 space 1000, which means that we are ready to accept 1000 bundles. On the left-hand side in Windows C, we're going to type bp driver space 1000, IPN:1.4 space IPN:2.4. So the 1.4, the 1 would be the node address and the 4 would be the service. And at the end we did a -10,000. So that's the size of the bundles, 10,000 bytes each bundle, 1,000 bundles. On the right-hand side, we can see that we're receiving those bundles, and it'll keep telling us, bp counter will keep telling us how many bundles are received. And there we got all the way up to our 1,000 bundles that were received. So that worked. Now we're ready to transfer a file. Now we're going to use the bundle protocol copy daemon on our window F. We're going to set up that daemon so that we're ready to receive a file. And then on Windows C, we're going to, first of all, look at the folder. I'm just showing you that there's a file in there called testfile.txt, and that's the file we're going to move over. And we're going to rename it during the moving process. So I'm going to type in bpcp for copy, bundle protocol copy, testfile.txt, and then 2:, that's going to go to the other node. And then I'm going to give it the file name of just mynewfile.txt. Hit enter. I get a message saying complete. And I'm going to open up another terminal window just to go into that lnode2 folder and look at the directory. And there's my mynewfile.txt. So it worked. Congratulations.